Hey, this is Jonathan, and I am just going to demonstrate the Madison Bone Biopsy system. First of all, we start with the cutting access cannula. This is kind of a combo with a stylet and a trocar tip. You can see here that we have a perforated cutting cannula, which is one of the key features that sets ours apart. This is a patented technology that we have. First off, you're going to want to do appropriate imaging to get down to the right spot. Make sure you're taking the right angle, and this is all standard practice with bone biopsy. Second of all, the sterile technique. Make sure that you've given proper anesthetic. Some of our kids have these anesthesia needles that are two-part needles that you can use to introduce the anesthesia. I don't think the Madison system actually comes with that needle, but we'll just go ahead and start by saying that we're going to use proper anesthetic. We're going to deliver this cannula with the trocar down to the bone to where we want to go. You can see we have this depth marker, and if we've used imaging to know how deep that we're going to be going, we would go ahead and ahead of time set that to where we would want, and we know once we've accessed the bone and this is reaching the skin, that we're kind of close to the spot that we want to be. Now, we would want to engage the bone. On the way down to the bone, because of our perforated cutting cannula, we're going to want to go counterclockwise. We want to twist counterclockwise down to the bone. After we're to where we want to be, at that point, we're going to want to start turning clockwise to try to engage the bone and just get that initial tip started, the trocar tip, to kind of dig in and hold our place on the bone. So we'll want to go ahead and get that engaged. Now at this point, after we feel like we've got purchase, we can disconnect the inner trocar. We can be confident because of our depth gauge marker that our cutting cannula is actually engaged. Now if, for instance, if we've got a bone that's sclerotic and feels like it's going to be difficult to get through, that's where this drill will come into play. And this drill insert will just take the place of the trocar tip. Just replace that trocar tip with this drill, and then we can go ahead and engage further. One of the things about this perforated cutting cannula, there are slits on either side that allow, as we're drilling down, we're actually collecting secondary samples that can be sent to pathology. And as we drill, when we feel like we're where we need to be, we can remove this drill, and you can see some of the secondary sample that we've collected. This can be scraped off and sent to pathology. Also, it keeps the bone that we're drilling through from just being dispersed inside the body. So now we would be ready to take our biopsy sample. Same thing, we have a depth marker on our biopsy needle, and this depth marker, there are two markers that are most distal, and what that represents is when we are kind of even. We're not quite taking sample yet. This is where we're just getting started. And so if we wanted a 2 cm sample, for instance, we would set this depth marker at 2 cm up, and we know when the two lines are even with the end of the introducer that we're ready to start taking sample. So we would just start with a clockwise motion to drill down and take our sample. If it's really hard bone, sclerotic bone, maybe we would want to do this in separate takes instead of trying to take one big sample all at once. It might be a good idea to take several smaller samples to keep from crushing it as we try to use the ejector pin to get it out. So we are cutting with our biopsy needle down into the bone. When our depth markers gets to the hub of the introducer, then we're ready to withdraw the biopsy needle. This biopsy needle works in conjunction with this ejector pin, and we would just remove the inner trocar of the biopsy needle. We would insert the ejector pin, and you can see what they would want to do is press this ejector pin, and it's going to push their sample out into whatever container they're using. And not sure if you can see that or not, but that's essentially the process with the Madison system. And give me a call if you want to discuss it further. Thanks.